The bathroom door shut with the sharp click. The nose of the crowd outside faded instantly, replaced by the hollow usher of dropping water and heavy breaths. Shankar stood near the sink, still, silent, red-stained photo clung to his clothes, his skin, his hair dripping slowly into the basin below. His reflection stares back at him from the mirror, distorted by the streak of color running down his face. He didn't move, didn't speak, didn't even blink properly. It was like he wasn't fully there. Cook, the girl voice softened as she stepped closer, grabbing some tissues and wetting it quickly. Hey, look at me. No response. She reached up carefully, wiping his cheek. The red simmered more before it began to fade slightly. It's okay, it's just color. She muttered, though her hand moved faster now, trying to clean it off his skin, his neck and arm. But more she wiped it, the more simmered to spread. Her brows furrowed. Why isn't it going? She whispered, her breath panic slowly creeping in. She knew how much he hated this color. She had seen it before, the way he reacted, the way he shut down, and right now he looked completely blank, like he couldn't process anything at all. Cook, say something. She tried again, wiping his face more urgently now. Please. Nothing. His chest rose and fell unevenly. His eyes stared, fixed somewhere far away. Then a hand grabbed her wrist. Firm, sudden. She froze and slowly turned it. Tong stood there, right behind her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes sharp, burning. He had seen them from outside, seen her touching him, cleaning him, standing so close, and something inside him hadn't liked it at all. Get lost, he said, cold, directed. The girl blinked, taken back. Excuse me, don't make a scene here. She added, pulling her hand slightly, but his grip didn't lose. Tong stepped closer, his jaw tight. I said, he repeated, voice lower now but heavier. Get lost. She crossed her arm, lifting her chin slightly. I won't. Do whatever you want to say. She shot back. Who do you think you are? Tong didn't even look at her this time. His gaze shifted to Jungkook, standing there, silent, restrained, unresponsive, and something twisted inside him again. So now you need someone to clean you? Tong said, his tone edged with something harsh. Are you that weak? That reassured him. Jungkook's eyes shut slightly, his brows furrowed slightly, like the word had finally broke through whatever he was stuck in. A shaky breath left him. Leave, he said quietly. The girl immediately shook her head. No, Jungkook, it's not good for you. I'm not leaving. I will clean you. Don't you hear him? Tong cut in, his voice sharp now. Just leave. She glanced at him before turning back to Jungkook, without waiting, hoping he would say something else. But Jungkook only nodded, slowly, without opening his eyes. That was enough. She clenched her jaw, clearly unhappy, before stepping back, but not without the look that Tong, a warning. Remember, she said, pointing slightly at him, I can slap you again if you do anything. Tong didn't react, didn't respond. He just watched her leave, the door shut behind her, and silence filled the bathroom again. It was just the two of them. Jungkook's grip tightened around Tong's wrist. The moment those words left his mouth, he would have done that, he said, his voice low, controlled, but trembling underneath. Tong didn't pull away. Instead, his fingers slid slowly against Jungkook's chest, brushing down deliberately as if teasing him, provoking him. But now he did. Tong replied, tilting his head slightly, eyes locked onto him. What will you do, That was it, something snapped. Jungkook moved in a second, fast, sudden, grabbing Tong and pinning him against the wall. Both of his wrists trapped above his head, his impact glow echoed lightly in the empty bathroom. I will show you what can I do, Jungkook said, voice darker now. Steadier, despite the storm in his eyes. Just wait and watch. Tong didn't flinch, even struggle. If anything, his smirk is slow, challenging. I'm watching. His gaze struggled over Jungkook's slow, deliberate, taking in a soaked cloth and red stain still clenching faintly to his skin. The tension in his body. You are such a desperate bastard. Tong muttered under his breath. Jungkook's jaw clenched. Tong scoffed, leaning his head back slightly against the wall, completely unbothered despite being pinned. Come on, John, look at yourself. He continued, voice dripping with mockery. You think this is anything? Your body. He let out a short laugh. It's nothing compared to the man I was with last night. Jungkook froze just for a fraction second, but it was enough. His eyes widened, anger, hurt, something sharp and ugly flashing through them all at once. Thong saw it. Of course he did. Why? He pushed further, voice quieter, but more cutting. Does it bother you? Silence. Then a sob. Cruel laugh. Angry because you weren't one of them? That hit deeper than anything else, and you never will be. Tong added, his tone turning colder. A boy who is scared of the color, you think you could ever satisfy me? The word hung heavy in the air, final, deliberate. Jungkook, breathing, changed, slower but heavier. His grip on the Tong's wrist tightened for a moment, then one of his hands moved, grabbing Tong's shin roughly, facing him to look straight at him. Their faces were inches apart now. You talk too much, Shankar said, not loud, not angry, in his usual way. Something else, dangerous. His thumb presses slightly against Thong's jaw, holding him there. Keep running your mouth like that, he added, eyes locked onto his, and you might regret it. For a second, neither of them moved, the tension between them thick enough to choke on. Thong's milk didn't fully disappear, but it shook just slightly, because this version of Jungkook wasn't the same one who stood frozen before, and for the first time since he walked into that bathroom, the balance between them shifted, even if just a little. For a moment, neither of them moved. Jungkook's hand still gripped Thong's chin firm, and when his other hand kept Thong's wrist beneath above his head, their bodies close enough that every breath felt sharp. Thong's milk lingered, but it wasn't as steady anymore. What? He muttered, voice quieter now, but still holding that edge. Did I hit enough? Shankar didn't answer immediately. His eyes searched Tong's face like he was trying to read something beneath all the arrogance, all the mockery. Then his grip tightened just slightly. You think this is about that? Jungkook said finally, voice low. Tong held his gaze. Isn't it? He shook back. Silence stretched. Then Jungkook let out, but tried frustration. You really don't get it, he said. For a split second, something flickered in Tong's eyes, but it was gone. Then explain it. Tong challenged, lifting his chin slightly despite Jungkook's hold. Or is that too hard for you to? Jungkook's jaw tightened, his hand on Tong's chin loosened only to shape, gripping his jaw more firmly, now forcing him to stay still. You want to know what's hard? Jungkook said, his voice dropping even lower. Standing there, he continued, watching you laugh like nothing ever happened. The expression stilled, like I was never part of it. Jungkook added, eyes sharp now, like I didn't exist. That wasn't what Tong expected. For a second, he didn't even have to come back. But then his brows furrowed slightly. You are blaming me for moving on? He said. Don't defensive now. Still lasted with attitude. What was I supposed to do? Stay stuck in the past like you? Jungkook let out a short, harmless laugh. Move on? He repeated. Is that what you call moving? Jungkook leaned in slightly closer. So you really forgot? The question landed differently. Tong's jaw tightened. I didn't forget anything, he replied quickly. Then why didn't you come back? Jungkook shot back. Tong gaze parted for the time, just slightly. Jungkook noticed it. You believe with him. Jungkook continued, his voice steadying but heavier. You pushed me. You called me heartless. And then you just left. Each word hit harder than the last. And I waited. He added quieter now, like an idiot. I waited for you to come back and ask me what actually happened. Tong didn't respond, didn't interrupt, because there was nothing easy to say to that. Jungkook gripped loosened a little, just enough to let go. You talk about me being weak, Jungkook said, but at least I didn't run. That snapped something back in Tong. I didn't run. He shot back instantly. You did, Jungkook said, meeting his eyes without hesitation. You chose the easy version of the story and walked away. Tong's chest rose sharply. That's not. Then what is it? Jungkook cut him off. The question hung there, demanding. Tong looked at him at the anger, the heart, the ears stinging right in between them, and for the second his usual confidence wavered. You think this is easy to me? You think I don't remember that day? Jungkook didn't speak, didn't move. I do. Tong continued every part of it. His gaze hardened again, but this time it felt different, less mocking. But you know what I remember the most? He added, a buzz. Then, the way you looked at me, Tong said, like I was supposed to choose you over everything without a question. Jungkook frowned slightly, because I would have done that for you, he said immediately. That answer came too fast, too honest, and it hit Tong Taekook for just a second, but instead of softening, he scoffed, looking away briefly. Yeah, he muttered, easy to see now. Jungkook's grip loosened more, not fully letting go, but no longer as forceful. Say whatever you want. Tong continued, looking back at him. It doesn't change anything. It changes everything. Jungkook replied quietly, another silence. This one heavier than all the other, because now it wasn't just anger between them. It was trust, messy, unforgettable, unresolved. And neither of them knew what to do with it. For a moment, neither of them moved. The silence hung thick between them, but it didn't stay that way for long. Jungkook's grip loosened, then he let go completely. Tong's wrist dropped, but instead he stepped back. He rolled them slightly, like brushing off the hold, completely unfazed. And then he laughed, soft at first, then sharp, more mocking. Jungkook brushed for his instantly. What's funny? Tong tilted his head, a smile spreading lazily across his lips. You, he said simply. Jungkook shot at it. All this. Tong continued gesturing lazily between them. This whole emotional speech. After all these years, he let out another small laugh. Still stuck there, Sean? Jungkook stepped closer. Don't do that. Do what? Tong shot back, eyes gleaming with something irritatingly playful. Point out the truth. That's not the truth. Oh, really? Tong raised a brow. Because from what I remember, you did push him. I didn't. Jungkook snapped louder this time. Tong just shrugged. Then maybe you don't remember it properly, he said casually. Kids forget things. Jungkook stared at him in disbelief. You are still saying that? He asked. After everything? Tong smirked wide out. What do you want me to say? He replied. That I was wrong? That you are some kid or victim here? You believed a stranger over me. Jungkook shot back. And you expect me to just regret it forever? Tong continued immediately. Move on, Jungkook. It happened. It matters. Jungkook said, his voice dropping. To you? Tong replied coldly, and that hit harder. Jungkook's eyes darkened. It mattered to us. He corrected. Tong laughed again. There is no us, he said. There never was after that day. Jungkook clenched his fist. You are unbelievable. And you are dramatic. Tong shot back instantly. Seriously, you are still holding on to something from where we were kids? Grow up. Jungkook stepped closer, anger rising again. You don't get to tell me to grow up when you were the one who walked away. Tong rolled his eyes. Oh please, he scoffed. I made a choice. Big deal. A choice? Jungkook replied. You chose wrong. Tong's smirk didn't fade. If that helps you to sleep at night, sure. Jungkook stares at him, trying to find something, anything real, but Tong just stood there, careless, unbothered, like none of it touched him. Why are you like this? Jungkook asked finally. Tong tilted his head again, the same irritation expression still on his face. Like what? He said. Honest? Jungkook scoffed. No. Fake. That made Tong pause for a second, but then he laughed again, brushing off. Believe whatever you want, he said. Doesn't change the fact that you are still the same kid who couldn't handle being called out. Jungkook's patience snapped. At least I don't pretend. He shot back. At least I don't lie to myself just to avoid admitting I was wrong. Tong's eyes narrowed slightly, but instead of reacting seriously, he clapped slowly, mockingly. Wow, he said. That was deep. Jungkook stepped back, shaking his head. Unbelievable. He muttered. Taekook leaned slightly against the shelf, completely relaxed again. If you are done with your little breakdown, he said lazily, we still have work to do. Jungkook didn't respond, didn't trust himself to, because if he stayed any longer, these would stay just words. The tension didn't fade even after the argument. If anything, it shifted, turned sharper. Taekook leaned back against the shelf, arm crossed, eyes scanning Jungkook from head to toe. Then he scoffed. Go, take a shower, he said bluntly. You stink. Jungkook stilled. Slowly, he turned his head toward him. What did you say? Taekook smirked, clearly unimpressed. You heard me. You smell like sweat, alcohol, and bad decision. That did it. Jungkook stepped forward in one smooth motion, placing his hand against the wall beside Taekook's head, trapping him without warning, leaning in close, too close. You stink more than me. Jungkook muttered, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. Taekook's jaw tightened instantly. Move, he snapped, showing Jungkook back. Jungkook let himself push in, but the smirk didn't leave. Taekook didn't say. He turned it and started walking toward the exit, clearly done with the conversation. But just as he reached the door, arrange me a towel and clothes. Taekook stopped, slowly turned back, eyes burning. I'm not your assistant, he said coldly. Not your personal assistant, go ask someone else. Jungkook leaned casually against the wall, completely unbothered. If you don't, he said, voice dropping slightly, I swear I will kiss the hell out of you and leave you shaking. Silence for a second. Taekook's entire expression froze, his eyes widened, his lips parting slightly in disbelief. You can't, he snapped, stepping forward toward him again. Jungkook didn't move. Try me, he replied, smirking, and with that he turned it, focused straight into the shower area like he hadn't just said something unsaid, leaving Taekook standing there, stunned, a faint blush creeping his neck despite himself. Unbelievable, he muttered under his breath. He ran a hand through his hair, pressing once before stopping. Idiot, absolute idiot. But his ears were red and he hid on his face didn't fade easily. With one last irritation sigh, he turned it and walked out. Come back after a while, a towel in his hand. He stood in front of the bathroom door and tapped it lightly. No response. I know you are done, he said, irritation clear already. Open the door. I brought a towel. Yes, sir. Jungkook smiled but didn't open it. Taekook frowned and knocked it again, this time harder. Come on, open it. I won't stand here the whole day for you. A soft laugh came from inside. Wait a bit, I am not done showering it. Taekook covered, rolling his eyes. I know you are done, Uppus. Then Jungkook's voice came again, teasing. Oh, how do you know? Have you installed a camera in the washroom so you can watch me shower? So kinky. Kind. Kinda kinky, Kim Taekook. Taekook's eyes widened instantly. Shut up, Jeon. That's not it. Then how do you know? Jungkook asked it again. Taekook crossed his arms. Because I can't hear the water running, that means only one thing. Jungkook laughed. That can mean something else to Kim. Taekook's brows frowned. Really? Then tell me, what does that mean, Jeon Jungkook? A pass. Then Jungkook said casually, it can mean I am washing my cock. Taekook immediately covered his mouth in frustration. Shut up, Jeon. Shut up and take this towel. But Jungkook still didn't open the door. He just laughed. Again, louder this time, clearly enjoying irritating him. Taekook got annoyed and kicked the door lightly. Stop it and open the door. Stop kicking unless you want to watch me naked. Jungkook replied. Taekook froze. Just take the damn towel. Okay, my angry angel. Taekook's eyes widened again. His ears turned red instantly. Don't call me that. A second later, the door opened just a little. Jungkook's hand came out. Taekook noticed. Oh, you are red? He said, smirking. Is that my effect? Taekook immediately threw the towel on his face. You wish, John. Jungkook grabbed it, chuckling. This is absolutely my effect. Otherwise, who can make Kim Taekook blush like this? Before he could say more, Taekook pushed his face back inside and shut the door. Just shut your mouth and do your work. He turned to leave, but I asked for clothes too. Don't stop it, huffing. I know, they are here. No, Jungkook said from inside. If you leave without giving them to me, then he stopped it. Don't frown it. Then what? A buzz. Then this time I will make your knees wake. Tong's face rose and fell slowly. He failed those words. Jungkook's voice came again. So stay right there. And this time Tong didn't move. Jungkook finally opened the door and stepped out. A towel hung low on his waist. Droplets of water still sliding down his skin, tracing slow paths along his neck and shoulder. Tong froze. His eyes locked onto him without meaning to. He couldn't look away. Didn't even realize he was staring. He didn't notice the smirk forming on Jungkook's lips. Didn't notice him stepping closer. Didn't realize until it was too late. Jungkook had already closed the distance, wrapping him between his body and the sink, one hand on either side of Tong, kicking him in close, too close. Tong breathed heavily, his chest rising and falling unevenly. Jungkook leaned in slightly, water still dripping from his hair, his presence overwhelming. Tong swallowed hard. Jungkook's lips brushed near his ear, his voice low, barely above a whisper. Already losing your mind? He murmured. I haven't even touched you. Tong didn't respond, couldn't. Jungkook's breath ghosted against his skin, sending a shiver down his spine. His fingers curled slightly at his side. See something now? Jungkook added softly, almost teasing. Where did all that attitude go? Tong's lips parted slightly, but no words came out. His mind felt blank. Jungkook watched him for a second, then leaned in just a little closer, their proximity tightening even more. Tong's eyes fluttered shut, his breath uneven now and then. Jungkook's lips brushed against the side of his neck, soft, lingering. Tong's breath shook, a quiet reaction, slipping out before he could stop it. His head tilted just slightly, unconsciously, giving him more space. Jungkook noticed it. Of course he did. He leaned in again, closer this time. Just as his lips brushed his skin again, Tong snapped back. His eyes opened suddenly, and he pushed Jungkook away hard. Have you lost your mind? He said, breath uneven. But before he could say anything more, the towel slipped and fell right on the floor. Tong's eyes widened instantly. Jungkook just glanced down briefly, then smirked. Oops. Tong turned away immediately. Such a shameless idiot. He muttered, face completely red now. The ears turned burning, the cheek flushed. He didn't dare to look back. Just wear your clothes and get out. Still muttering under his breath, he quickly walked out, clearly flustered, leaving Jungkook behind, who just laughed softly to himself before picking up his clothes. The club light flickered in deep blue and red, music passing through the air as bodies moved in the rhythm across the dance floor. Jungkook sat at the bar, a glass in his hand, half empty, half full. He didn't care. His eyes were distant at first, unfocused until they landed on him. Tong, right in the middle of the dance floor, moving effortlessly with the music, his body loose, confident, like he owned it. Every beat of it played. People surrounded him, but he stood out anyway. He always did. Jungkook grip on the glass tightened slightly, and then he saw the man beside Tong, too close, hands resting on Tong's waist, pulling him in as they danced together. Tong didn't move away, didn't resist. If anything, he leaned in, letting it happen. Jungkook's expression didn't change, not even a flicker, and his eyes stayed locked, watching every move, every second. And then Tong looked up. Their eyes met across the crowd. For a moment, everything is blurred. The noise, the people, gone. Just them. Jungkook remained still, lifting his glass and taking a sip, his gaze never breaking, unbothered. Or at least, that's what it looked like. Tong noticed a faint smirk tugging at his lips, because he knew that look, and he knew exactly what it means, jealousy. Even if Jungkook could never admit it, Tong slowly pulled away from the man beside him, saying something briefly. Before stepping off the dance floor, his steps were confident, deliberate, seductive. His eyes never left Jungkook, and Jungkook watched him come closer, didn't look away, didn't move, didn't react. Tong stopped right beside him, close enough that their shoulder almost brushed. The music still thumped loudly around them, but between them, silence stretched heavy. Tong tilted his head slightly, studying him. Jungkook took another sip of the drink, slow, calm, their eyes locked again, neither blinking, neither backing down. Then Tong smirked without a word. He reached out and took the glass straight from Jungkook's hand. Jungkook didn't stop him, didn't react, just watched. Tong lifted it to his lips and drank it in one go. Every last drop, his throat moved as he swallowed. Then he lowered the empty glass, placing it back on the counter with a soft click, still looking at him, still smirking. Around them, their friends had gone completely still, eyes wide, hands covering their mouth. Oh shit, he just. Did he seriously take his drink? Yeah, he did. This is bad. No, this is really bad. Something is about to go down, I swear. And neither of them looked away. Jungkook's gaze didn't leave Tong, not for a second. He exhaled slowly, then turned slightly toward the another. He said to the waiter, voice calm, but there was something underneath it now, something tighter. The waiter nodded quickly and placed the fresh drink in front of him. Jungkook wrapped his fingers around the glass, and before he could lift it, a hand slipped over his firm tongue. Jungkook's eyes flickered sideways to him. Tong already taken the glass from his grip and brought it to his lips, drinking it in one smooth motion. Again, empty. He lowered it with a soft sound, exhaling lightly as if he enjoyed it. Jungkook shot at it. Another, he said, again sharper this time. The waiter hesitated, then offered the new glass. Jungkook picked it up immediately this time, bringing it toward his lips but fingers. Tong fingers pressed lightly against his lips, tapping him. Jungkook froze. Their eyes met, close, too close. Then the glass was gone again. Tong took it, drank it, all of it, in one go. Jungkook groaned under his breath, frustrated now. Are you done? Not yet, Tong replied smoothly. Jungkook let out a quiet scope. Fine, another. The third glass came, but this time Jungkook didn't touch it. He just looked at it, then at Tong, waiting. Go on. But Tong didn't move. Instead, he leaned in, his elbow on the counter, resting casually, his body angled toward Jungkook, watching him, eyes low, intense, a faint, teasing curve on his lips. Jungkook shook his head slightly under his breath, reaching for the drink himself. The glass lifted, touched his lip, and gone again. Tong took it, but this time he didn't rush, didn't drink slowly, deliberately. His head tilted back slightly, exposing the line of his neck under his dim light and movement of his throat as he swallowed, unhurried, almost like he knew exactly what he was doing. Jungkook's eyes followed, unconsciously fixed. Tong lowered the glass when he finished, placing it down with a soft click. He exhaled slightly, shaking his head once as if savoring the taste, and then a drop from his chin, sliding down slowly, tracing the line of his throat. Jungkook's breath caught. His body moved before his mind could catch up, leaning in close, too close, and without thinking, he brushed it away. Tong, eyes flashes. Don't twist this, he said sharply. That was completely different, and you know it. Yeah, I know. Jungkook stepped closer. Then what was that? The another game you are playing? Tong didn't answer. He just answered. His fist connected with Jungkook's jaw, snapping him head to the side. Casper erupted again. Not again. Someone stop them. But Jungkook didn't say back. He hit back just as hard, grabbing Tong by his collar and shoving him. Another punch landed on as the crowd screamed around them. Hands pulled at them, Whenhis shouted, but neither listened. They crashes onto the floor, the impact knocking the breath out of both of them as they struggled, face landing, grip tightening. Stop it. Are you insane? Security. Someone called security. It took a few seconds, but the fight slowed. Not because they wanted it to, because something shifted. Tom pushed himself up slightly, breathing hard, glaring down. Get up. He snapped, but Shakur didn't move, didn't react. He just stares. Tong frowned. What are you doing? Get. He noticed Jungkook's eyes locked on his lips, on the small cut, on the blood. What? Tong muttered, confused. Shakur slowly sat up, still staring like everything he said faded away again. He reached out, gripping Tong's arm lightly, pulling him up into a sitting position in front of him. Tong stiffened. What are you? Shakur didn't answer. He pulled out a handkerchief from his pocket. His movement sudden, careful, almost gentle. Your lip is bleeding, he said quietly, like before, like none of this made sense. He brought the cloth up, dabbing lightly on the corner of his lips.